Hey everyone, Rob here. Got some updates on the situation going on here in Iceland. And as you can see, one of the photographers from a news agency here, the news agency VCR, he caught a photo of a bunch of people bathing in the Blue Lagoon. And it came out just today that the alleged bathers that were here and photographed yesterday were in fact employees of the Blue Lagoon itself. And this is what apparently Helga Arnardóttir, who is the executive director of sales, operations, and services of the Blue Lagoon, has said. Now, of course, it's kind of shocking for the news agency to flying a drone in this area and then seeing a bunch of people in the Blue Lagoon when it is considered to be closed, especially to the public, since November 9th. And then there was the photo of employees in the Blue Lagoon who were sort of taking a look at the lagoon before it was opened. It was supposed to open today, but there are no plans to do that. They have now pushed it until next Thursday for the time being. I mean, the roads are still closed and everything like that. But definitely shocking to see people enjoying the Blue Lagoon when the rest of us can't. Other news, though, there have been a lot of earthquakes actually recently off the coast of Iceland. You can see here, it's pretty far away down here towards the bottom. 7 large earthquakes were recorded under the North Atlantic Ocean south of Iceland, the largest ones measuring about 5.3 in size according to the USGS, and all of them have originated at a depth of about 10 kilometers. And you can see the sort of tectonic plate line going through Iceland here and how this is all sitting on there. 2 measured 5.3 in size. One was at 9:39 a.m. and the other one was at 10:56. And then at just before 20 to 12, a magnitude 4.7 earthquake was measured. And at 12:58, 7th today in the area, is a 5.3 magnitude. Now, the Loviso is a natural hazard expert at the Icelandic Meteorological Office, said in an interview with MBF that the earthquakes were not seen on their gauges just because of how far away it was. But of course, 200 earthquakes have been recorded on the Reykjanes Peninsula since midnight, which is an increase from the last few days. However, seismic activity has not changed much recently. There are slightly more than there have been in recent days, she said, but on the other hand, points out the increase is so small that the frequency of earthquakes is actually pretty similar to how it was in previous days. And if we take a look at a map of Iceland, we can see, if you've been watching the videos, we went from around 90 earthquakes, pretty spread out over at the bottom graph here. You see Thursday, Friday. Pretty spread out, fairly low, around 1 in magnitude. And then as we move into this cluster here, we can see there was a few of them that popped up to the top. Now, one of those magnitude 3 up in the north of Iceland. If we take a look here, we can see still pretty few amount compared to a month ago when there was a big, earthquake event and a really big risk of an eruption. Now, speaking of Grindavik, little can be said exactly when the residents are going to be able to go home again. You can see pictures here of some of the destruction that the town has been able to face. Now, Viðar Reynisson, who is the head of civil protection, says that the civil defense danger level remains in effect, and the rules for the presence of people in the town of Grindavik remain unchanged. Now, repairs, as you can see here from this photograph from VCR, are underway, and they have to be completed before it can be safe again for people to go home. Unfortunately, it's pretty hard to say when that's going to be. They're always reviewing it, and as I mentioned in the last video, some of these cracks they are looking to perhaps not even fix and just kind of keep it as a memorial to what happened in this town. There's damage to the elementary schools and the kindergarten, so it's quite a while before all of these activities can start again there. And they're looking at maybe even to the spring when those schools and different businesses can also open up. Now, while people may be able to stay at home, services in the town are apparently going to be very limited for a very long time. Now, everyone knows that the people of Grindavik want to go home, and they are reassessing, when is it going to be possible to live in Grindavik in some extent. And we were looking at the Blue Lagoon that was supposed to open and under consideration to open it, but it's not going to be done. They're going to reevaluate things after the weekend. On Monday, they're going to take a look. And although it may be possible to open the Blue Lagoon to visitors again and perhaps start looking at letting people of Grindavik go home, he says it does not apply to hotels in the area. So if it's not considered safe to be in Grindavik at night, then no hotels are going to be opened up. So that's, some of the news coming out of there. Speaking of the Blue Lagoon again, work on the fortifications around the Blue Lagoon and the power plant are apparently going very well. Now, most of the material has been transferred from nearby mines and almost exclusively processed material from the area. And the completion is going to be kind of decided or clarified in the next 2 weeks, which is just in time for Christmas. Now, they're saying that the work is similar, the pace of work is similar as last week. It's going well. They're looking about how the next 2 weeks are going to be. And they're working, again, day and night. The work on the dam that they're building, you can see pictures here and here of what they're doing. Again, from Visiet. This was all to protect the power plant and the Blue Lagoon. So it's the two things. If you remember, you can see here in the background actually is the power plant and the Blue Lagoon, and they're building this fortress, basically a fortified area right around it. They've reduced the traffic into the area, but of course maybe it's going to get a little bit more difficult for them to work if they get more and more cars coming in, but we'll see how that's going in. It says that this has reached the final height in many places. Now, looking at it, it's really hard to tell here the actual height of what's going on, but you can see that they've dug it down and then pushed it up. So hopefully, I was at the last couple of eruptions, and I'm not going to lie, it goes pretty high up, several meters tall. So we'll just see, we'll see how this works out if there's an eruption in the area. There's some sections that have a few meters left in height. They're constantly just working on it. It's previously stated that 60 to 70 people work in this area in shift work, so it's day and night. The number of people has apparently decreased a little bit, but they don't have an exact number right now. I mean, of course, the urgency seems to be diminishing. The final date for the completion of the work is not available. In 2 weeks, they're going to understand a little bit better where it is to see where it's going. So that's pretty much all the news that's been going on in the last 24 hours here in Iceland. Roads still closed. We can see on road.is, you can just always check to see the status of the roads, and you can see in the Grindavik area, all red, still closed, and we can see that, most of the roads are green with some icy, slippery areas. But that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any comments or any updated news that I missed, just put it in the comments.